It was funny. I found you because of LinkedIn.
Right.
A lot of people ask, like, how'd you meet this guy, or how'd you go there? I'm like, internet.
Yeah.
Internet's been great for me.
Yeah.
What's unique though is you're one of the. So it's 2025, and the industry is still coming around to the internet thing.
Yeah.
They're still like, I don't know, the internet. Maybe there's something there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
We're gonna maybe not. And you see very few leaders in any capacity sharing anything of legitimate value online frequently. And so sometimes people will share, and sometimes it's good stuff, but it's either infrequent or it's just really polished nonsense. You can tell they didn't even write it. It came from a PR department, whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
Mostly with the big companies.
Right.
It's just junk. It's not worth my time to even look at it. But it's like every day you're just sharing what the heck you guys are doing, which I think is awesome.
Simple.
You're one of the few people doing that.
Right.
Still in 2025. You'd think that would be everywhere. It's not. You're just like, nothing's dressed up. Nothing's fancy. It's probably all from your phone or from your guys' phones. Yeah. So it's
there's
all,
no computer involved.
There's no no fancy production, no fancy editing, nothing. It's just like, here's what the heck's going on today.
Grammar train wreck, excuse upon.
Yeah. But how you came up in a world that is so anti that. How did you even come to do that in the first place?
Man, every once in a while you find the acorn, right?
Yeah.
I seen it. I seen the deficit there. There was not a big focus on the small businesses, just highlighting what they're doing. I think moreover, and maybe it was by accident, was just trying to highlight the people around me.
Yeah.
I want people to succeed, right? I want success for people, and I've shared with you kind of my upbringing. I wanted people to succeed, and it was more just, let me just do this to highlight them, and it kind of caught on. It's like our slogan, that one call solves it all slogan. That's like the worst slogan in the world, right? In some people's eyes, but it works, it catches, and we solve everything. The guys, when I told them, they were like, oh my God, no, that's terrible. It's like, trust me, let's just try it.
Yeah.
But it's created a lot of business, a lot of clients, a lot of friendships, but it's highlighted our people.
Sure.
And that's what I want to continue to do. This is what we're doing.
Well, I talk to a lot of executives about that because they think, well, I don't want to post on social media because I don't want a bunch of pictures of me on there. But it's like, I don't even think I knew what the hell you looked like before I met you.
Right.
And I'm seeing your posts every day because it's all just
the
work you're doing, customers you're serving, and the people doing the work.
It's not about me.
No.
It's about the people around me.
Yeah. Which, but I mean, that's what caught my attention.
Right.
That's how I gave you a shout. It's like, because in railroad, it's so cool what you guys do and what the heck goes on to keep, the railroads are really one of the main arteries of America. If the railroads stop,
we're in trouble.
We're in deep shit. Yeah, I mean, that's what the whole railroad strike thing, that's why the sitting United States president had to come in the last time and say, we're actually not going to do this. That's really cool. You guys think you're going to do this. We're not doing this. Because if that shuts down, the economy shuts down pretty quickly.
So everything you consume at some point has been on a train.
Yes.
Right? Everything in this room at some point in some form has been on a train. People don't realize that.
It's crazy. Yeah. I didn't realize that until I was on the railroad, and then I was like, oh, this is a really big deal. But you never see it. Ever. So that's what drew me in with what you guys were doing. It's like, you're not the only contractor working on the railroad out there. There's much bigger fish than you guys that have been doing it
long time
since the railroads were built.
Right.
But you don't see any of it anywhere.
No.
Nowhere.
Closely guarded secret.
Which but in my opinion, for no good reason. It's not top secret stuff that the heck's going on. And I argue that the railroads would get a lot more grace if they did show more of that, because there's a lot. It's like cops, it's you don't see the good, you just see the one bad thing.
That's right.
What do you now that you the only data point you have is the bad stuff. So now what's the perception? It's all bad.
Right.
What the heck are these guys doing? So that was like, one, you were sharing every day. Two, it's just like it's stuff I knew was going on, but don't see anywhere, which I think is extremely compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think you're talking about the bad you see in the railroad. There's so much good that the railroad does, right? Yes, they move freight. Yes, it's the logistics they do. But they do a lot for the communities that people don't see.
Yeah.
Right? Investments in communities, the yards they put in. Not only that, every Class 1 that I've seen is doing something outside of railroading to invest in the community, right? Donations and different things. It's just huge. It affects so much, even just outside of what they haul.
Well, and how much they invest in their infrastructure and facilities and the communities they're in.
Touches a lot of people.
It is amazing. Yeah. And so when I was in college, I got into investing. I don't know why. I've stopped since because I've invested in a company, and that's put all my eggs in that basket. But I got really into figuring out, what companies were where, and I would buy what I believed in, and one of them is Union Pacific. Yeah. And that was around when Berkshire bought BNSF.
Right.
And when they bought BNSF, everybody's like, what the hell are they buying a railroad for? Like, that's kind of dumb. Like, what's the deal there? And they're paying how much for the railroad? Yeah. They're buying a railroad? Is that really the best? Like, have they lost their sparkle a little bit? And then you dig into how much money they're throwing off and how much they're reinvesting in this infrastructure.
Huge.
Yeah. When I found out that UP was throwing off proportionally as much cash as Apple was. It was like, all right, sign me up. I'll be a part. And this was before I'd ever worked for UP. Right. So it wasn't like I was on the inside like, oh, yeah, this is great. It was before I even knew what the heck they did. I was just looking at the numbers. I was like, this is insane. This is crazy. What the heck's going on here? Because I can't go start a railroad tomorrow. I can't start Aaron's Railroad.
I get it.
It's such a unique business.
Just that whole BNSF mindset, what they've done. I mean, basically they have created a pipeline, a mobile pipeline.
Yeah, and they're laughing their way to the bank. Yeah. They have been for a long time.
So we can't build pipelines? All right, we'll make a mobile one, right? I mean, it's genius. He is what he is for a reason, right? He's super smart.
Yeah, you're going to shut down Keystone? That's no problem.
No problem.
The oil's still getting the refinery.
I know, right?
Yeah, you guys, I think the pipeline stuff's funny. You grew up in Alabama?
UCLA, the upper corner of Lower Alabama.
Okay.
Everybody there calls it UCLA, right?
Okay, yeah.
Dump Truck, Alabama. Middle of nowhere, Prattville. That's where I'm from, which is a big town now. Spent most of my life there.
Some would argue most of Alabama's middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it is. A lot of pine trees. I mean, it's you got your major hubs, your Birminghams, Montgomerys, Mobiles, and then pine trees. I mean, that's pretty much it. I born and raised there. Family was from there. Came in from North Carolina. That's originally where all of my ancestors were from. Germany, North Carolina, and then down to Alabama.
Okay.
Right. The war happened, and grandfather and all of his brothers fought. There were 5 of them, and decided, hey, we'll settle in Alabama.
Fair enough.
And long heritage of blue collar workers.
Yeah.
Dad, grandfather. I mean, everybody was let's work hard and go to sleep when the sun goes down.
They were at the paper mill?
Dad was at the paper mill. Actually, grandfather was too.
Really?
For a period. He helped build the paper mill my father worked at.
Wow.
And he was on a survey crew and helped build it. And then Dad worked almost 40 years in the same paper mill, swing shift for 40 years. Man.
Yeah, so you saw it growing up.
It was tough. Right.
Man, it is so tough.
Tinfoil over the window, trying to sleep. It was. But he never normalized, like we talked about earlier. I mean, he hated his life, and then one day decided, I'm done with this. Just today's my 2-day notice. I'm done.
Yeah.
And he farmed some, cattle farmed, and so when he was off work, he was working. He always worked.
Sure. Yeah.
Today he doesn't do too much.
You didn't want to go to the paper mill?
Oddly enough. So I worked there my senior year of high school. They had a summer help program. It's the last time they did this, by the way. There's a whole story behind that.
Yeah.
I worked there during the summer. We painted fire hydrants and washed down pulp decks and sawmills, just manual labor type stuff. And It was fun. I enjoyed it. That was the first time I got to see my dad in his environment doing what he did.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. But worked that summer, and I went into the plant manager and met with him, and I said, I'd really like a job here. I'd like to follow in the footsteps of my dad. Mm-hmm. He said, son, you know what? If you want a job here, you got it. He said, but I'm going to encourage you to do something. What's that? He said, get in your truck, pull out of the gate, and never look back. It's like, really? He said, son, don't you see everybody here is miserable? Uh-huh. They hate their life. Why do you want a part of this? I was like, the legacy of my dad. He said, legacies eventually die.
Yeah.
I thought about it a minute. All right, well, I appreciate it. Have a good day. And I rode out the gate, and I never looked back, right? The same stinky paper mill that everybody to this day fusses about, I left behind.
Wow.
And the rest was history.
But, I mean, that was, from where you were, that was probably one of the biggest employers, if not, that was probably the game in town.
Yeah,
like,
no
there
doubt.
wasn't.
Railroad, paper mill, power company.
Okay.
That was it.
All right.
So
then you went to try one of the other ones.
So I did.
Yeah.
I did. So I worked little odd and end jobs that most people would do. I went to college for about 5 minutes, and my dad, was helping me out at the time. I was working, while I was going to college, working at night, and I was like, yeah, I'm wasting his money. Uh-huh. I'm having a great time, and I'm not learning.
Sure.
So I moved back home, and I went to work for a pretty big power subsidiary and transmission line crew, and that was a whole experience I needed in life.
The power stuff, I didn't realize how wild it is.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Like, I mean, railroad can
Sure.
get wild too, but those linemen, those power guys, it can get Western.
Yes, sir.
Even today.
Old school methods.
Wow.
And when I say old school, I mean these guys were, we were taking the ladders, transmission line crew. We were on a 115 crew, 115,000 kV, and then we would go do 500 kV at times. And they were taking buck boards, huge boards, and tying them off using ropes and pulleys to get up there and change out insulators. I mean, it was nuts.
It's wild. And I don't say that as a criticism.
No.
I say, like, they're
cowboys.
They're cowboys.
They are.
You have to be cowboy, I think, to do it. You have to be a little nuts. Because it is just, I mean, it's just different, man. It is.
So men among men, like I've seen it in the power industry, I've seen it in the rail industry for sure, the cowboy mentality. And I think that's something that probably attracted me a little bit to both industries.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I left UCLA, Alabama, and went to the power company. It's the first time I'd really left state, other than going to the beach occasionally with my dad when I was a kid. And my grandmother, she helped me buy my first pair of boots. It was at Walmart. I wore those boots out. First 6 months, my feet, like every night, I'm having to doctor them, and one of the old guys on the crew that I thought a lot of, he was like, son, why are you hobbling so much? I'm like, man, my feet are hurting. He's like, why don't you buy some real boots? I was like, well, I'm kind of broke. Yeah. This is new. I'm trying to get into this. Had a family to look after at that time. I mean, I got married pretty young, and at the end of the day, he said, get in the car. Where are we going? This guy was already questionable, right? He had a history, but had a very good heart. Drove me to the boot store. Got me a good pair of boots.
Nice.
I'm like, I don't have the money. He said, son, I didn't ask you if you had the money. Get you some boots. Ended up having to pay him back, of course, with interest kind of deal. But that was just the mentality that these guys had. They were hard, ruthless guys.
Yeah.
But they had heart. And I look back at that, that period of my life. I couldn't figure it out then. It was tough, right? Hard work, but I enjoyed it. Like I learning new things, and I look back, that was necessary in life. And I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad I went through the hard times of, getting dropped off in the middle of South Georgia with a water keg and a pair of 10-foot post hole diggers, and we'll see it, at the end of the day.
Sure.
And then I was like, man, this is stupid. There's got to be a better way. Well, that was the way I needed.
I think that's. I did that before I got into construction. I did a few summers up in Montana, and it was just me working by myself. Right. So you'd get dropped off somewhere, or you'd drive yourself somewhere.
Right.
And, you'd be out there 8, 10, 12 hours. You'd start in the morning when the sun's up, go to have dinner when the sun goes down. Yep. And then it's, you're Montana summer, so the sun's up for quite a while.
Yeah.
and you're just on your own.
Yeah.
And that was like, there was no music, there were no podcasts. It's just you.
Yeah, that's it.
Doing work.
I got to know myself real well.
Yeah,
right?
It was probably like even just that isolation in that work was one of the more foundational things within my life, because you've got nothing to do but think, and you're working hard, and you're like, this kind of sucks a little bit. I don't really want to do this all the time. So is there a better way to figure this out? Like it's
right.
But then at the same time, like the lineman thing is just a great example. It's like, thank God for these absolute men that build the world and keep everything together that most people don't know about. Yeah. Like, thank God for these people. Right. And there's women involved too, but you need, especially like the other day, the power goes out. I'm just sitting there. I know the guys, they're out in the middle of the storm figuring this shit out while everybody's sitting at home,
fussing,
nice and warm, fussing. We don't have power. Yeah. And they're out there busting their asses to get it back together they're getting paid good money to do it, but like, you need those people. You need those guys that are crazy enough to be like, it's all right, it's storming, but people don't have power. That's our job. Keep the power going. If not us, then who? Yeah. So let's go figure it out. Yeah. And without those people, most people wouldn't be alive. They wouldn't be able to handle it, but we'd be in caves under rocks.
Sure.
Just
making fire
if we could. If you're looking for another industry event that is a snooze fest, this is definitely not for you. But if you're a leader looking to elevate yourself, your team, looking for like-minded individuals that are hungry, then look no further than the Ariat Dirt World Summit, November 5th through the 7th in Dallas, Texas. In our third year, we'll have about 1,500 hungry industry leaders from about 500 companies looking to learn, grow, teach. It's going to be fantastic. We also have a world-class lineup. We've got Jesse Cole from the Savannah Bananas, James Clear, Atomic Habits, Kim Scott, Radical Candor, Mark Miller, Chick-fil-A Leadership, Tim Grover, who is Michael Jordan's trainer. You will not hear from a lineup like this anywhere else. So check out details now, dirtworld.com. You can use code Aaron10 for 10% off any registrations, and we'll see you November 5th through the 7th in Dallas, Texas.
I look back, in that experience in life, I think that's where a lot of, which I always had as a child, had a mindset wanting to figure things out. How does it work? Let me take it apart. Right, let me take everything I got. I had to take it apart, right, figure out how it works. But I look at the power company side of it. Everything was so heavy. You always use multiple pulleys and come-alongs, and it was just so neat the way all of it worked. Yeah. We went down to Hurricane Katrina. We started at where the eye landed in Mississippi, and we were a Georgia subsidiary and went over to Mississippi to help them out. And that was the first. I'd been on storms, right? A couple poles broke, but nothing to that scale. Mm-hmm. And just the logistic nightmare that was involved in it. It was just wild. Yeah. And that was the point, I think, in my life when I realized that maybe that was the big picture. Like, I kind of understood better what we were doing, and it made me hungry. Like, I loved, that cowboy mentality. Hey, I'm gonna ride in on my horse, and we're gonna help. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And just complete devastation, and able to go in and help and just get the necessary stuff. Actually, we were getting power to the hospital. That was our first goal. Right. Yeah. But
I think that mentality is essential. Like, it doesn't, and I don't mean like just ignore safety. I think safety is a big deal. It will continue to be a big deal. I'm all for it. But I feel like it's a Western world, and it should remain that way. Like, I think there's a lot of folks in offices trying to make it more sterile than it should be. Yes. And it's like, listen, you're fucking with something that should not, like, right. You're going down a path you should not be going down, because you're forgetting who does the work.
Oh man.
And you saw this especially politically with the unions this past election. It's like, you guys, have you talked to anybody within your union? have you, and it was so foolish on their part, because it's like they just showed their entire hand, and it's like, you guys are, like, how, like, aren't you supposed to be representing the people? Have you talked to any of the people you're representing?
Man.
Some were smart enough to, like Teamsters did a great job, and some others did a phenomenal job, but others were
complete disconnect.
What are you guys doing? Yeah, you are going against all the people doing the work.
Right.
That doesn't, like, that's not productive. And we're sitting around saying, well, how do we get more people here? Well, we need to make it, a place for everybody. It's like, no, but it's not. Like, being a lineman, not for everybody. Being on the railroad, not for everybody.
No.
Hard work,
Yeah.
not for everybody. So why don't we just sing that tune instead? And that's what's impressed me so much with Quanta Services.
Oh, yeah.
They've done such a nice job
Yeah.
with the messaging, because they are, biggest craft workforce in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
They're very buttoned up, very safe.
Right.
They build all the big infrastructure, and yet they still really, I feel like, respect the people doing the work and putting America together, which I think is just so important.
Huge disconnect. Again, I circle back. It's the people.
Yeah.
They're missing the point. To your point.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I don't know if it's like self-importance or what, but man, there's people that I can remember being with the railroad. Even we'd be awake for days on end, and everybody had the common goal. Like, they didn't want to fail anybody, and I think there was a disconnect in leadership occasionally that didn't realize, like, hey, my people are staying awake 2 and 3 days at a time.
I don't think it's rarely is it intentional. You do have the pieces of shit, but you have those people everywhere. That's no different. But I think it's just, they're just so far removed. Mm-hmm. They just don't know. Yeah. There's so many layers in between them and whoever's doing that work, who's ever on that rail gang or whatever it is. And when they do see it, they're driving by in a Suburban or something like that, or they're standing alongside, and they come out for 10 minutes. You've probably seen this. Everybody's seen it. They come out and they've got the new vest on. They don't really talk to anybody. Right. They're talking to some supervisor. You don't know who the hell the supervisor is, but he's from the company. He's some higher up. Higher ups come out. They might come out in 2 rented Suburbans. I'm painting a picture I know everybody has seen.
Everybody's seen it.
Yeah, and they sit there and look at it. All right, I've been out to the field. I know what the heck's going on, but they have no idea. they don't
some
know.
of it too, Aaron. I think they're trying to survive too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because they don't have just that one project that's going array. They've got 65.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's probably tough to play that part. Right.
I don't envy them one bit.
No, sir.
And dealing with all the other stuff, no one sees the environmental stuff, the compliance stuff. You've got the SEC shareholder,
Sure.
global trade, tariffs, whatever it is. You've got a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is a lot to be said. They're like those that I feel like those best in class leaders, they handle all that stuff. They know that's their job, but they make a deliberate effort to truly understand and recognize who is making everything work. Yeah. And on a railroad setting, that's those maintaining the tracks, inspecting the tracks, running the trains, maintaining the trains, anybody doing the work.
Right.
That's the glue that keeps the whole thing going.
There's caveats out there, right? We've got, some of the class ones we work for. One in particular, one of the VPs there is on every job, and he's not sitting there in a new vest. He's hands on.
Yeah.
Dogging off rotary dump trucks, keep them flipping off the track. He knows his audience, like he knows his people. He wants to be involved. He wants to understand what they're going through every day.
Yeah.
And that's a unicorn in the industry, right? He prioritizes it.
Yeah, but he probably garners way more respect than most. I bet.
Huge respect.
Yeah, and it's probably more effective as a result because he's hey, I'm here with you guys. And I think every leader has their own style. There's not one right way to do it. Like, if you're not the guy that is getting in the work, you don't need to be the guy to get in the work.
Probably not. Like get in the way at that point.
I would be one of those people. I would be getting in the way, but it's like going out when it's raining, going out when it's cold, going out when there's some emergency situation, or going out at night. You know, when it's less than ideal, even just being present in a less than ideal scenario,
Right.
that says a lot to people.
Right.
And even just like your intention of coming out. I think people are really smart. They can read that stuff so well. They know if it's politics or not.
Sure.
They know if you really want to be out there or not.
Right.
Like just by your demeanor, by how much time you spend, by who you shake hands with, by who you look at, by what questions you ask. That's all very important.
Yeah.
And I've been at companies where you had those great leaders that would come around. I might not even talk to them, but you knew that it's like, this guy's in it with us.
Yeah.
It's a damn good feeling. Damn good feeling.
Yeah.
And then there's the other situations in which somebody from top brass comes out. Maybe he looks at you.
Right.
Maybe not. You don't know who the hell he is, what he does, why he's here. You just know he's important. Everybody's like, hey, just be on your best P's and Q's, mind your P's and Q's. But it leaves you with such this cold feeling.
Yeah.
Like, all right, maybe I am just a cog in the machine.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's real motivating, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a great, I mean, and I've fallen victim to this. Like, I got so buried with, like, what we were talking about last night at dinner with all the financial stuff that I lost track of what the hell we were doing as a business because I'm just in like survival mode.
Right.
And there's those times too. But now that I've come out of it, it's like, shit, I need to get back into the business because I have been way too absent for way too long. And there's a cost to that big time.
It's hard to spread yourself sometimes, right? Trying to touch everything and everybody. And I see that in what we do. I think the fortunate thing about our business is everybody's so involved. I mean, the leadership, those guys, full send all the time.
Yeah.
Just let me handle everything. And they're always involved and always doing things. And I think that's what makes a difference. They're just so involved in the teaching aspect and leadership, true leadership. Hey, let me show you. If you don't know how to do that, then let me tell you about it because I've never done it. Let me show you because I have.
Sure.
And these guys are just awesome.
Yeah, or even just genuine curiosity. Like, I've seen this. You'll have executives come in. You've probably seen it a bunch too. You have executives come in from a different industry.
Right.
You'll have some, and you can tell pretty quick.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to know who has the right intent and who doesn't. Who thinks, I'm Mr. Big Executive, I know what the hell I'm doing. I've had a 38-year career.
Business acumen.
Yes, I'm a businessman. I've come here to do business. And then there's the other guys where it's like, listen, I have a hell of a resume. I'm here for a reason. However, I have no idea how you guys do what you do, and I'm here to figure it out. I'm here to learn it. And I have no idea how a track is built.
Yeah.
No idea. But they're not afraid to say that. And it ironically gives them so much more credibility if they come out and just, can you just explain how you're putting all this together in a genuine way? Immediate respect.
Yeah.
Immediate respect. But the traditional stance is, well, I can't. I'm supposed to be one of the guys that knows. I can't let these guys know that I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
imposter syndrome.
You come off like an asshole.
Yeah. 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 It's tough. Like I've seen it so many times, even the rail industry. Man, there's some good people though. There's some really solid people that
phenomenal. This is the minority. Yeah.
Yeah. They get hired, I was over the management training program a little bit for the class ones and really solid people. I mean, a lot of veterans, man, just solid people that had we'll give them like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This is a crash course on how to land the plane to railroad, right? And they'd go out in the field, and some of them like really thrived, and some of them just like crashed miserably.
Sure.
But it was always ego driven.
Yeah.
The ones that had that huge backpack of ego, man, they got ate up and swallowed.
Yeah.
But it was always the guys that were, man, I don't know what y'all are doing, just like you're saying, but I'd like to learn, right? And it succeeded hugely.
But that's those people with the big ego. They don't work in this world because no one has. They can sniff out the bullshit so fast. Sure. Like it really is a meritocracy. It's as close to a meritocracy as I feel like it gets in the United States. There's still politics. There's still nonsense. Right. And I'm talking trades in general. But it's based on work. you do the work. Whoever does the work gets the respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
And so there's just no, and I feel like that's what drew me in. Like, you go into all these other industries and there's just so much bullshit, so much politics, so many snakes in the grass. Like, you can just slither around and say the right things and do what you need to do.
Oh man,
and,
yeah.
you know, jockey for this position, that position, play this hand this way, go over here, switch to this company, and you can just game the whole system. But and I'm not saying you can't do it in the trades, but it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because there's just the bullshit, the tolerance for bullshit is so
You can't fake it
much
till you
less.
make it.
No,
When rubber meets the road, right?
No. And so, yeah, you have these people with these big egos come out and with these folks that have been working their whole lives.
Mm-hmm. They're not with it.
They're not with it.
No.
They're not just gonna sing your tune. You either meet them where they are or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do meet them where they are, and you can do that in all different ways, it's gonna be great for you. Mm-hmm. But if not, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Huge
fail.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you power stint for a while. We've already alluded to it a bunch, but then you spent the majority of your career within the railroad.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. You know, I spent some years with the power company, and man, just a huge life altering experience. I'd never left home. You know, went to work for the power company, and I shared with you my supervisor, foreman at the time. He was a non-union manager. Yeah. He would talk to me in third person. I mean, just the most bizarre, you know, there'd be three of us in a room. He's not looking at me, and hey, tell Junior, I was Junior, right? Or Kermit, because I was new, I was green.
Yeah.
Tell him to go do this.
That's a good one, Kermit. I like that.
That was good. Yeah. I may have to pull that one back out of my bag and use it, but was just tough. Just rant, raved, and cussed, and you know, and here we are, you know, a lot of years later, I still talk to this guy once a month, and I asked him, you know, why were you so hard on me? Like, why were you so brutal? Well, we got a pretty good relationship now. I call him right now, you know. He said, son, because I knew nobody had ever been truly hard on you, and this was a rough industry, and life is rough, and I wanted someone to be tough on you.
Yeah.
And I respect that. Man, I respect that. Now, then, I hated it. I was like, man, I'm going to go get a job at Walmart before I keep putting up with this.
Sure. Yeah.
So, you know, fast forward some time, I think I always kind of had a desire to work for the railroad. My dad's father, the railroad run behind their house, pretty big railroad. And he'd slip back there and chew tobacco. He didn't want my grandmother to know, and take him a drink here and there. But we'd watch trains all day, and I loved it. I don't know, it just like was in my blood. And then my mom's father, he was a railroader for 40 years, engineer. Wow. And I don't know, it just kept calling me. And I was with the power company, had a pretty decent job, and kind of got stuck inside during that period in the engineering department. I mean, it was good, you know, but I don't like inside too much. Mm-hmm. Applied for a job, and I was in the newspaper, showed up, and they said, hey, if you can pass drug test, you got a job. I was like, no problem, got it covered. And that was you know, almost 20 years ago now, 18, 19, 20 years.
You spent a while in that world.
So
I mean, you're still in the world, but
just in a different capacity, right?
It's I think the further I've gotten into business, and the more data I've seen with new people coming in, I think that's an important role within an employer, and especially these younger kids. They don't really know how the world works. No one's taught them.
No.
School didn't teach them. Past employment, for if they've had it, didn't teach them. Parents didn't teach them. Right. They've been so insulated, and it's not their fault. But it's like, all right, we're gonna have to start with the basics here. Like you don't. This is a serious game we're playing now. Right. This is not Little League anymore. We're not getting participation trophies anymore. You kill, or
you starve.
Yeah. That's how it works. Yeah. And if you figure out how to kill, the world's your oyster, because there's not a lot of people doing that nowadays. But that's still how the world works. Like that's how this goes. So let's teach you to work with it rather than against it.
Right.
And some don't like that. Some do want, this is too much. I don't. Yeah. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do it effectively. But
I think there's a huge need, and I've actually gotten to be able to do some of this, but there's such a disconnect. I think about young boys and young girls. Right, nobody's taking the time to show them the basics. Like, let me show you how to change a tire. I got a friend that owns a record business, and it's surprising how many people he picks up off the side of the road to go change a tire with dad sitting in the car and family like, you don't know how to change a tire. And I'm not knocking him. That's not what I'm here for.
Yeah.
But I think there is such an opportunity in life.
He should get knocked a little bit for that.
Probably so.
Yeah.
But trying to be nice.
Yeah.
So, but there's such a huge opportunity, and I think that's kind of, what our business model is bringing some of these young guys in because nobody's ever showed them. Nobody's ever taken the time. They haven't had anybody there. There's nobody in society that's readily jumping in. Let me show you how sockets work or wrenches or how to check oil or change oil.
Yeah. Or shake somebody's hand.
Talk to me. I don't need that dead fish thing, man.
Yeah.
That and talking like, they don't look you in the eye.
The amount of times I've had to say, have you called him?
Ooh, I was texting him.
I've sent him an email. I've texted him like, have you called him?
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't called him yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe try that. And then 15 minutes later, we got it sorted.
Yeah.
I'm like, no shit. How
It's
about
weird
it?
how that works.
Yeah. How about it?
It's necessary evil. We text in business, but I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it with a passion. Like, why didn't you just call and tell me that?
Yeah.
And plus, hey, I'm from Alabama. I'm not as fast as the biggest, fastest gunslinger in the West. So, like, you just pick up the phone and call me instead of trying to text me. I may could figure it out a little faster.
But there's a lot of employers out there complaining, or management within employers complaining that, well, these people just they're just not ready to work. It's like, but that's the opportunity. I think it's the employer's responsibility. Or if I'm working with an employer, it's me as a leader. It's like, it's my responsibility to build that next generation up because no one else is doing it. So I can bitch about it, or I can say, no one else is doing it.
Be about it.
So I better do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if I do it, they're going to win and I'm going to win. Like, I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to spend all this time, and maybe some of them will leave, but I think most of them will be like, man, no one's ever like that guy. No one's ever done this for me. No one's ever tried to make me better. And they'll be, they'll become a little bit better, and they'll be like, oh, wait a minute. This is actually, I like this. I'm making more money, or I'm a little bit more effective, or I can talk a little bit better. And that doesn't just help me at work. That helps me in life. Now I can talk to women a little bit better,
right.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's the basics that are missing. And if you can create a system that teaches your people the basics, not about how your company does things, that's important, but just the simple stuff.
Basic life skills.
You can print phenomenal individuals at that point if you can figure that out, I think.
Situational awareness. I see it in society so much, younger generations, and there's just no situational awareness. They're buried in a phone. They're buried in social media. They're buried in whatever they're doing. And I talk to our kids about it a lot. Look at what's going on around you. Keep your head on a swivel. Yeah. Right? Comes from the construction industry. Safety, right? Yep. Keep your head on a swivel. Look around. See what's going on. Just trying to instill it. But, their friends come over and it's the same way. Yeah. Let me walk across 4-lane looking at my phone. But just the opportunity, like you're talking about with these companies, you have the opportunity to get an employee that has no bad habits. You just got to invest time in them to teach them a little bit in life.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. And but it's funny. Most everybody would say, yeah, I want the young kid with no bad habits. Mm-hmm. But they don't have the patience, the time, the system to take those individuals. Like, I think it's harder. You have to. It's more work. Like hiring somebody experienced, that's the easier thing to do.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about them. They'll produce well enough. Mm-hmm. But if that's your model, it's gonna create substantial chaos because they're bringing even if what they do over here was the right thing to do, it might not be the right thing to do within your company.
Right.
They're bringing it with them, whether you like it or not. And I think those people are important too, but it's the same. Like there's no something in my throat here. Like for building a great team, people, culture, there's no easy way to do it. It's like anything else. The more time you put in, the harder it is, the better the results. So even those experienced people, sometimes it takes longer to beat out, for lack of a better term, those bad habits. And for them to even unwind, like they're just so, especially if they've been in a bunch of different careers or in this world for a long time, they've been so abused probably.
Sure.
I mean, it's a form of abuse. I think I just don't see any other way of you can call it bad habits or whatever it is, but you can, like a lot of people just have their tail between their legs. Yeah. Like, damn, you've been beat
down.
Yeah, you've been beat down, man. And it takes a while. Like for them to build the trust, because they've built so many walls up and their shell is so hard because they've had to survive, and wherever they've been, it takes a lot of time to peel that back layer by layer, because you got to be really consistent, and it's just time too. It's just like, so they really do mean what they say. They're really not bullshitting me. I really can say what I think. Like, that sounds obvious, but you don't to expect them to trust you right away is just naive. It doesn't work that way. Those experienced folks too.
I think you had a guest on Bond, and something that resonated with me is hire the right people and let them go. Like, just let them do their thing. And that's been something that I've really tried to focus on, get our people to focus on. Give them the training they need, show them if they don't know, and get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm an observist. I'm quiet. I'm gonna take it all in. I'm gonna look at things, but I don't like that helicopter mentality. Let me show you how to do everything. Hey, you're not doing this right. I can't stand that. Okay, if they're not doing it right, show them and get out of the way.
Yeah.
Right. You've hired talent. They're here for a reason. Let them do what they do, but show them the right way. It's work. It works.
It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you did a long time in the railroad, doing a lot.
Yeah. I hired in the signal department.
Okay.
And I told you my brain, I've got to figure out how things work. Oddly enough, I went out into the field and got on a job, and I was called and said, "Hey, the job's been abolished. You don't have a job." Like, whoa, I just started. What do you mean? So they sent me to Birmingham, Alabama. There was an open position there. They made one, and worked in a hump yard up there. And then did that for a pretty good while, and then
explain what a hump yard is.
Yeah, hump yard.
Because I love every time I find a rail car that says no humping on it.
Yeah, right. You got to just get a picture,
like
a meme or something.
Oh yeah,
right,
8-year-old Aaron, like that's hilarious, so funny.
Yeah. So unit trains, they bring unit trains into a hump yard, right? And then they send them over a hill that has brakes that slow the cars down, and they sort them into different class tracks. And then those cars are built into unit trains and are sent out of the yard. The first impression I had, it was the first week I went. I'm pulling up, it's still dark in the morning, and I'm driving, beside the train going to my office, and I realized, hey, this train's coming off the track. Wait, all the cars are. They're humping them down the hill, and something happened. I don't know what, but stacking trains up everywhere. And that was like first introduction of something that still goes on today, right? Trains wrecking.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I'm gonna really like this.
But that and the yard, like the mechanics of the yard, it's on a grade.
Yep.
So that the cars can travel freely because you're not pushing them.
That's right. Gravity.
Lob them over, and then they go from there. And then you're building out different trains essentially, because each train's going to a different place, and you've got to. That's why these yards have so many tracks, and it all starts with one.
That's right.
Because you're just sending one by one, and then just sorting it to train 1, train 7, train 4, and that's going to Chicago, and this is going to Texas, whatever it is.
Yeah. What's wild is that technology is so old in those yards.
Yeah.
And there's still solid state relays. I mean, some of them are upgrading and getting advanced, but just old technology, old DOS mainframes that build the trains, the consists to take that car to Texas or this one to Ford or Chevrolet or whatever it is. Yeah. And but it's a whole city. It's a beast. It's interworking with its own. There's so many people involved making sure it's all working and the electronics, and there's air. Well, guess what? It freezes sometimes, and air freezes. I mean, it's a nightmare 24/7.
I am not. I'm a very visual person. Mm-hmm. That's what's so appealing to me about learning how the world works, because I can see it. Yeah. Like a railroad, I can see it. I mean, and you say you were drawn into the railroad. I mean, if a locomotive goes by, it's like I'm a moth, and that is the brightest flame in town. I have to just stop whatever I'm doing, and just the sound of it, just power. Power. It's just power, yeah. And then how much weight it's pulling behind it. Just the whole thing is spectacular. Yeah. But just how it's not very advanced, but I like that. Yeah. Like I like that we're still using the same rail that we've been using. I mean, 1900 rail, literally for 100 years over. Same building tracks the same way. Mm-hmm. The tracks are all in the same spot they've been in since we put them there originally. Yeah. Like it's like how the United States was built, was these railroads, and we're still using same railroads, some of the same bridges. The technology is still pretty similar in the grand scheme of things. You've got a locomotive pulling a bunch of stuff. The cars, same principle. Yeah. And I love that. I love that you can see it all and really visualize it. Yeah. And I know there's technology and track inspection and this and that, and they have all their wizardry now like any other world. But I like how at the end of the day, it's very simple. We're moving heavy stuff from point A to point B with a bunch of power. Yeah. Great.
That's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah. The first time, Phoenix doesn't have a line that goes through it. So it has the Sunset route goes underneath Phoenix. Mm-hmm. It goes through Tucson. Right. But then it goes underneath Phoenix, and there's a spur off that'll feed into Phoenix. But not that many cars come into Phoenix, really. And so I would see it every once in a while, but I hadn't really been around the railroad until I went out. We were working on the Sunset route, but out in California. And the first time one of those things went by me, they were like, all right, you got to stand 15 feet away from the track or something like that. I was like, all right, 15 feet, that's good. 15 feet's not very far from a fully loaded double stack. Double stack
enough
train.
Time to watch it coming. That's
ripping down the rail at top speed because it's as flat as can be, middle of the desert. It's terrifying. Yeah. Like everything about it just scares the pants off you. Like, all right, I'm going to be a little bit further back. I know you're saying it's good, but
recommend it, but I'm going to add a little bit to it.
This is too much, man. Yeah. It's just, it's incredible how much power and everything about it boggles my mind every time I see it.
I think with our emergency side of the business, right, the derailments we go on, it makes you look back and think, maybe that 15, 20 feet wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. We're those guys are picking up some mangled stuff, right? And it happens in a second, a nanosecond, right? It's very unforgiving, right? I saw some pretty tough stuff in my career where people, took things for granted and it didn't work out too good. That's the bad part about it.
Yeah, I for that reason I never got complacent.
You can't.
No. It was just too much going on.
I think that, statistically, like railroad across the board, they'll say, the employees that, and I'll probably mess the numbers up, 1 to 10 years, like they're pretty safe. Mm-hmm. And you get in that 10, 15, 20, they get in that complacency, man, I'm John Wayne, I've done this before, nothing can get me. Yeah. And those are the ones that get touched.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and it probably happens quick. Now I'm like going down I'm going down memory lane here. There was this one time when you said signal. So we're building some siding track to allow, you got the more important trains
that let them by.
You could pull over. We've got something important coming by. So we're building additional siding track, middle of nowhere, Tacna, Arizona. Complete shithole in the desert. Great burritos though. Gonzo's Tacna Market. Yeah. Unbelievable. but we were building this siding track, so we were moving the dirt for it to get subgrade squared away, and we are going to bring in material, compact it, bring it up to grade, bring in base material, ballast, etc. And we had a scraper running, like a paddle wheel scraper, pulling up the material, and I was out there. There was a superintendent, and then I was technically the only salary individual. Other than that, they just needed somebody there. I didn't need to be there, but they just needed somebody there. So I was looking for shit to do, and I wanted to be helpful. I didn't want to just hang out in my truck. I wanted to actually help. But railroad has specific rules and union, so on and so forth. Sure. So my hands were a little bit bound. So a scraper pulls up some of the signal line that was buried. And the signal crew comes over because they were working down the way with the railroad, and they look at it and they're like, "No, we can just pull it out. This is we
abandoned cable."
Yeah, we buried it here for some reason, but it was newer cable.
Okay.
So, but and it was like a spool, like a whole. They just buried a whole fucking spool of this stuff. And but that's good. Pull it out. So we just yank it out. All right. So then the scraper coming around, maybe an hour or two later, comes around, grab another bite, finds another bit of cable. I'm like, all right, cool. I can help out here. We don't need to. I don't want to bother the signal guys. I don't want to slow us down. I'm just gonna go grab our backhoe and pull it out. So I grab our backhoe, I pull it out. Scraper goes back to work. No problem. Good. So then I'm standing around. Some of the other management maybe was in town or something like that. We're all standing around the tailgate, and they come over the radio. Hey guys, Omaha just called in, and they think there might be a break within our mile marker, whatever to mile marker, whatever, where you guys are working. Do you know of anything out there? And as soon as that call came over the radio, I was just like, son of a bitch. And it made me sick to my stomach. I was, at that point, I was like, I am 100%. I do not have a job here anymore. There's no fucking way. And so I knew exactly what had happened. And I said, hey, here's what I think happened. And they just looked at me they didn't say anything. All right, we'll get the signal crew over. So the signal crew comes over, and I have to help them find where I dug the shit out at.
I think it was here.
I'm the one out there. It's like the shittiest treasure hunt in the world. Yeah. Finding where the broken line is, and they're sitting there 115 degrees, middle of the desert, in a hole, repairing the signal line, splicing cable, while fully loaded freight trains, this is one of the busiest routes in this part of the country, they're going by at 5 miles per hour. We can't exceed that because the line might be broken. Yeah. It's just like, oh no. It was one of the worst days that I've ever had at work, because that whole day I'm like, 100%. They haven't told me yet. I don't have a job anymore. But the signal guys, coolest guys ever. Like all the railroad guys.
That's every day.
Yeah, they were as cool as cucumbers. Like, oh, dude, every day. This is
not to mention we're gonna make overtime on
this.
Yeah, we're good.
No problem at all. And it was fine. But I think they intentionally let me shit bricks for the whole day. I
bet he won't do that again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I learned my lesson big time on that one.
We had a few fiber optics, and just located in the wrong place, and just always a disaster, because it was always the big cell phone carriers and Department of Defense. Like helicopters come in, and the Suburban's like, "Hey, Joe, cut cable, come with us. We need to talk to you." But it was everyday occurrence. Broke cable, cut cable. The technology, again, and solid state relays, old wiring that deteriorates. You were always cutting and splicing. It was fun. I enjoyed it, right? I went into a signal maintainer, right? We had assigned territory, 30, 40 miles, and we would inspect crossings monthly, signals monthly, switches, maintaining the switches. I think the toughest part of that job, because you had road crossings. Yeah. There's like one common denominator. People think they can beat a train. You can't.
Oh, yeah.
You never win. And something that stands out in my mind, I was very young into my career then. I was a maintainer, had my territory. I was calling like, hey, we've had a vehicle strike on your territory. I don't care how good you are. As you're driving to it, I hope I did everything right.
Sure.
I hope I checked everything right, because I just checked the crossing the day it happened. Right. So I pull up and I look down the tracks, probably 3/4 of a mile, and I could see the rescue people and different officials there. And as I'm walking, I'm seeing kids' toys, records and TVs and furniture. And as I'm getting closer, it was a rental truck, right, Penske or something.
Yeah.
And as a father and son, both deceased in the truck. Wasn't something we had done, the railroad had done, I had done.
Yeah.
They had a couple of cases of beer and, older dad and son, and just pulled out in front of a train. Mm-hmm. But anytime that call came in, hey, we've had a fatality, right? They would know pretty quick it was a fatality if it was one of your locations, just like full vacuum, suck the air out of the room. It would weigh on you, right? Yeah. And I don't know what the attraction is of railroad. I do. I mean, people love to take pictures, right? They love to get up on the track and take pictures and cross the track and get hit. And that's the part that's not fun, right? You don't want that for anybody. And it'd weigh on you. I mean, I saw enough of it.
Yeah, there was a video I saw not too long ago. It happened years ago, though. There was a wind turbine blade.
Yep.
Gets stuck on the track.
Yeah.
And a train just tears right through it. I mean, it's fiberglass, so it busts open pretty good. But one of the top comments was like, "Why didn't they just stop the train?"
Right.
and it's like, all right, let's have a physics lesson. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't work that way.
There's blue placards, the PSCC, the information at each crossing. Just call the number, they can stop the train, right? But everybody's in full panic, like, I don't know what to do. What to do. We had one in town where car hauler got hit. He was stuck on the tracks, and he had plenty of time to call. But you see it every day. It happens every day.
It does. Yeah. There was a real dramatic one maybe 2 years ago. It was a concrete bridge girder.
Big mess.
Whoa. I mean, it took the train out. Yeah. Like, it derailed that thing.
Yeah.
Big time.
There was one in Texas here a couple months ago that
was there.
Caused mass carnage, ended up killing an engineer and conductor.
Gosh. It's just
one simple phone call.
Too much.
Yeah.
Well, and especially from a trucking standpoint.
Situational awareness.
Well, planning the route.
Right.
Yeah, situational awareness. Yeah. Like it's like it happens enough to know that it's just the trucking stuff is even more frustrating because it's like, you're a professional. This is part of the job. You need to understand your route and understand what the heck's going on here. And odds are that's probably not the only crossing here that you can be using. And maybe it is in the very slight off chance, but it's probably not. Yeah. And it's just never worth it.
Lack of training, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I think it's a lot. It's not they're not doing it intentionally.
Right.
Like, you're not trying to intentionally get a lowboy stuck on a crossing.
I see it more now. There's huge campaigns, LinkedIn, television campaigns just talking about dangers of crossings, right? And you see more and more railroads are getting involved because they're the change makers. Unfortunately, it's not their fault, but they're the change makers that, trying to bring the awareness to the crossings and what's going on with them. And that was the stuff I didn't like because it was so often. So often that things would happen, and just the fatalities and children involved, and I hated it. I hated that part of it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why law enforcement gets so jacked up. They see all the accidents on the road.
They don't realize it's affecting them, right?
Oh no. Yeah. I don't think you do. Like, I don't think it can affect you to do your job. It's like later that it seems to get people because they've just seen so many things. Like, it's not unique to the railroad. I mean, it's way more in over the road, like trucking, for example. Like the truck accidents. Woof.
It's tough. I've got an uncle that's been in fire chief for almost 30 years. Tough, rugged, former, infantryman in the Army, and just tough dude, right? He told me, he's like, I just realized one day I'm just irritable all the time and angry, and I didn't understand why. And then he realized, like, I've been looking at a lot of stuff.
I've seen.
Yeah.
stuff no one should see.
We've got a director here at our office, Pyler, man, and he was a firefighter for a long time, paramedic, and he would share with me, like, it weighs on you.
Mm-hmm.
You get tired of seeing that stuff.
Sure.
Soldier, that dude's solid, man. Solid safety guy, too.
So you did railroad thing for a while, big railroad thing for a while, saw a lot, understand the railroad as good as anybody.
I think so.
I mean,
probably a lot to learn. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But you've gotten around. Then you took a different path, started up your own deal.
Yeah.
Was being like a railroad services contractor part of the original plan?
No.
Or you just
I don't
that's
think
what
that
you
was
know,
the plan.
So
Aaron, so we had been through so much with the Class 1 I was with. I mean, it was getting so intense and staying awake for days at a time, and I was tired.
Yeah.
I could see everybody around me, head down, dragging. They were just tired.
Yeah.
I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what the plan was. I knew how to run a little bit of equipment, right? I'm still not the greatest today. I knew how to work. I didn't have a plan. So I left the railroad. There was no intention whatsoever of going into railroad.
Mm-hmm.
I started digging ponds, right? That's a whole different art, man. I'm still learning about that, but digging ponds, got into the septic business. I was putting septic tanks in, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I'd work, a friend of mine at the time and a couple people, and we'd just go work every day, living life. We'd be out in the middle of the country putting a septic tank in for somebody, and there's still something inside of me calling, like, hey, I know how to railroad. I need to think about it. I kept pushing it off, but it just kept calling. That locomotive, like you're talking about, would go by, and it's like, man, I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss that life.
Yeah.
So, partner, vice president of the company, Zach, I met him at a crawfish bowl. He was working for another contractor, and I told him, I was like, man, I really want to get back into the railroad world. He's like, interested in subcontracting? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'll do that. So we got our very first job. It was a derailment over in West Alabama, and we got an opportunity to go over there and put ties in. And the day of, our truck breaks down. We have a lawnmower trailer. When I say lawnmower trailer, it's like a 4x6 trailer. We've put everything we possibly could scrounge up, tools-wise, that were 30 years old that I borrowed from my great uncle who owned a railroad contracting business. And a cooler, threw it on the truck. Didn't really have the money to go do it. And we went to West Alabama, and I pulled up on the job site, and a little old fella jumped out of a Ford Ranger that I recognized. I worked with him at the Class 1 I was with. He was with a different railroad then. And he says, man, what are you doing here? You don't know anything about track. I said, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know a whole lot about it. I'd learned a little bit when I was, with Class 1 in training and stuff.
Yeah.
I said, let me see what we can do. Man, we worked hard. It was July. Went at it hard in the paint, full send. And at the end of the project, he come up to me. He's like, I owe you an apology. He's I was partially wrong. You don't know a damn thing about track, but you work hard. And he now works for us, right? Because he saw the mentality that everybody on our crew has, like, we're just going to go hard at it. So I was on my own then, and I had a good friend that I grew up with that was pretty successful in the erosion control business, right? And had built a pretty good empire. Done some stuff for Scout, and Landmark. I think you've highlighted some of that, east of Mississippi there. But he kind of had it together, and him and I would stay in contact for years. And finally went and talked to him. Like, I saw, it's very hard to get into this business. Let me just decide I'm going to get a railroad contract in, right? Because railroads take a while to pay.
Well, and it's a pretty tight-knit circle.
Sure.
And it's dominated by a few well-known in that world companies that have been doing it forever.
Yeah.
Like, some of these companies have documentaries.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I know.
That's
right.
how long they've been doing it. Yeah. Like hour-long history documentaries.
Pretty good. Yeah,
it's pretty really good. Yeah, I think you know the one I'm talking about. So it's not like it's even
fraternity.
Yeah. It's just it's a hard world to even join. Yeah.
So just from that aspect, we could do it, and we were doing work, but just the amount of capital that it takes to run day to day is give you heartburn, right? And thought about it and talked to him, and a lot of prayer went into it, and we decided to join forces with Hydro Green at the time. You know, it's HG, that's our brand, and HG Railroad Services. And, you know, I wouldn't have done it any other way. I mean, just the amount of – you couldn't ask for a better accommodation. Okay, what is your vision? Well, here's my vision. This is what I would like for us to do. Okay, here's what you need. Here's the keys. Let's go do it. And that's just been the mentality all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to just go grab a backhoe. You can do it. You're just going to suffer for a long time. I mean, we sped up probably 10 years in just a minute.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really difficult work too, because you're not bidding on projects typically. Mm-hmm. You've got equipment on lowboys.
Yeah.
You try to put it in strategic locations, the best you can.
Kind of hard to do, yeah.
It's hard to do because you don't know what you're doing tomorrow.
Right.
In a lot of cases, like there's some longer term track work or whatever it is that you're helping out with, or some right of way clearing from here to here that we've got to do. But Helene comes through, a storm comes through, derailment happens. Like you just don't know where you're going, when you're going, and railroad's 24-hour, 7-day-a-week operation. Sure. So you're not working typical hours.
No.
You just it's like nonstop problem solving, and you're oftentimes not building a job. Like you're just solving problems. Is what you're really doing. Mm-hmm. You just don't know when you're going to solve the problem, where you're going to solve the problem, and what kind of problem it's going to be.
I think that's the appeal
you have
of
to
it, yeah.
You have to run a business.
On top of it.
On top of
it's
that.
always hot, it's always cold, and it's always at night. You know, I say that jokingly. I mean, it happens all the time. But, you know, that the cowboy side of the derailment service, I mean, those guys, wow. I mean, they're machines. They never shut down.
Yeah.
Pick up one huge derailment, client calls, hey, we've got another one. They amp back up again. Mm-hmm. Let's go help them, you know. Mm-hmm. But that's the mentality across the board. It's let me help our clients. Let me help our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, it's a monetary aspect, but there's like this instilled, let's do the right thing to help.
Yeah, and so the railroads hire you guys because you're just more nimble. Like their job is running trains day to day. And so they've got track crews, et cetera, but they built, they're working on large scale tire replacement, track replacement, large construction projects, capital projects, et cetera.
Right.
You are more nimble. You do the odds and ends.
Yeah, it's a good description.
Is that the best way to explain it?
Well, yeah, and I think that's kind of how it started, but now it's kind of evolving.
Sure.
We're going in and doing the bigger track projects, bigger tie projects, crossings, because they've seen our capabilities and realized the efficiency of these guys in the field. Like they can get stuff done.
Sure.
Right. They're not taking anybody's jobs. Sure. They're hitting the low-hanging fruit, or maybe the jobs that will consume too much of the railroad time. They're shipping out and going and doing them.
Yeah. I got you.
It's very fluid, for us.
Yeah, it feels like, the railroad has a lot of equipment, but it seems like they're really geared up for the bigger stuff.
Sure.
They've got, like, when they roll in to do tire replacement or track replacement.
Oh, yeah, it's a deal.
It's no joke.
It's a deal.
They roll deep.
Huge train rolls in, bunch of equipment, big production crew.
Yeah.
We're hauling backhoe and a couple pieces of equipment.
Knocking
it out.
Yeah, but there's a place for everything.
Yeah.
So just the and the derailment side too. It's the news likes to show the really dramatic ones that are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But that's such a minority. Like a lot of these aren't. There's no drama to them whatsoever.
One
it's
wheel
just
off.
Like a grain car, has a wheel off, and you come in and you plop it right back on. All right, we're good to go.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It seems like that's most of them.
A lot of them. And we don't, we don't see. We do obviously see the big ones, but it's the day to day is just, like you said, one wheel, two wheels, one end of the car, one car.
Yeah.
But it's daily somewhere, and that's not a reflection of the railroad. That's just the nature of the business.
It's a business. Yeah.
Human error, whatever causes it.
Yep.
But we've created a niche around that. We create, our business. Yes, there's other people doing it, but we try to figure out how to do it better.
Sure.
These guys, they're all full send all the time, all about getting the work done. Mm-hmm. Let me figure it out. Let me problem solve. And it's fun to sit back and watch. Like you saw all these cars, the big ones where they're all mangled up, and sit back and wonder, like, what are they going to do? I mean, I've seen it 1,000 times, right?
Yeah.
But there's always a new, hey, let's try this. Let's try something new.
Yeah, I wish I could show more of that stuff because the work is so cool. It is some of the coolest work I've seen. Is went out to this pretty bad derailment. I mean, it was out, not this part of the country, and it was, I mean, it must have been like 30 cars, 30 cars carrying iron ore, so they're real heavy. And I think a wheel went out or something like that.
It just
got too hot. Yeah, bearing. Yeah. Bearing got too hot, and it just threw the train into a
pile,
and shredded. It was double main line, shredded both tracks, and it was like one time is money. So the railroad's just like, listen, we'll deal with the whole car thing later. We've just got to get the damn thing open. That's
throw them off the line.
Well, one, safety.
Yeah.
Anything happen? All right, good. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then two, just yeet them over here.
Yeet them.
Yeah.
Right.
Get the rail open. Let's get trains going, and then we'll come back and we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah.
And that whole process is spectacular.
We see that a lot.
It is so cool, and I genuinely believe the railroads would be better off to share that stuff than not. However, I don't think that's happening anytime soon, so I can't get involved in any of that. Yeah. But it's cool. It's really cool.
I think there's definitely a positive spin the railroads can take. You know, there's so much, to your point, we talked about it the whole time, that people don't see. They don't understand.
Yeah.
They see a train going by, and I'm mad because it's delayed me.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But every product I'm touching came on that train, and this is what happens whenever bad things happen.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're opening up to it more.
I think they are. I think you're proof of that.
Yeah.
Like, even honestly, the stuff you share, it's like, I mean, the railroads are seeing it. Yeah. I think it's great for them. I think that's the best thing. They need the PR as bad as anybody else. I mean, boy, do they need the PR from a workforce standpoint, from just an overall labor standpoint, from an understanding standpoint, from all you hear about railroads over the past 5 years, so in modern time, is the strikes. Railroads nearly shutting down because the railroads, there was all kinds of stuff that came out with that. It was not a good look for anybody. And then, or just terrible derailments. There was the one in Ohio. There was the one in Montana that took out that bridge.
That's some massive ones.
That was a monster. I mean, there's been some big ones. That's all, but that's all you see. Bad. It's supporting our entire society. No one could live without it. But either one, railroad's not really a thing anymore, kind of a niche thing, is what I think the general public believes, or railroad's bad.
A lot of good people being sacrificed in that.
It's such a bummer.
That do the hard work.
It really
and the
bums
leadership
me out.
does the hard work.
Yes, everybody does, and it's like I know it's not simple, but it is kind of a simple fix. Like, let's just
move on.
Well, let's just show people what the heck goes on. Yeah. Let's peel the curtain back. Yeah. Nothing we do is proprietary. Like, this is not top secret stuff. Yeah. And you don't. I know you say you have competition. You don't really have competition because your track's your track, and like I said,
it's kind of in this area. Nobody else is.
I can't start Aaron's Railroad tomorrow. Yeah. As much as
I would. Yeah.
I would love to have a railroad. Boy, would I. Like the whole BNSF acquisition from Warren Buffett. That is like one of the coolest power plays I've ever seen.
Flex.
The guy bought a railroad. It's like, damn, that's cool. Or there's a guy, Dennis Washington, he sold it. He had Montana Rail Link. Yeah. He had a railroad. He has a heavy equipment dealership. He's got a copper mine. I'm like, this is my kind of guy. Like,
I've got a John boat. You know, I mean, it's something to look at.
Yeah. You know? It's like, this is nice, man. I like this. Like, all the fancy stuff, that's great. But give me a copper mine. Give me a railroad.
You know, the men that built America, right? We look back in history, the oil and the railroad and steel and things like that. It's still going on today. Yeah. In a different way, a different shape, different form, different fashion. I mean, the Buffetts and Rail Link. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Rail Link sold. to BNSF.
BNSF?
Maybe. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to like the robber barons, like Cornelius Vanderbilt, and I mean some of the biggest names in, what was it? Mellon wasn't. I feel like Mellon was also involved in railroads. I mean, everybody had their hands in railroads. Yeah, Carnegie for obviously he needed railroads. Yeah. Rockefeller needed railroads for what he was doing. They all. Have you read some of Rockefeller stuff?
Oh, it's pretty wild.
What they did with the railroads, some
wild.
of the sabotage back in the day. Yo.
Pretty tough. Right?
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like how he tried to outsmart Carnegie. Like, well, all right, you're the biggest steel magnate in the world. What's the biggest ingredient in steel? Iron ore. Where are you getting your iron ore? Minnesota. I'm just going to buy the iron ore then.
Big power plays.
It's like, whoa. And then Carnegie gets wind of it, like, hey, no. We're not doing that. Yeah. We're not doing that.
Still see it today in different shape, forms, of fashion.
You still see it today. It's just, yeah, it's I feel like behind a curtain, or it's a little bit more obscure, or they're just like, look over there. And
while we do here,
sports. You guys just sports. We'll keep doing that.
It drives me crazy.
We're gonna be over here running the world, but don't think about it.
Yeah.
We're all good. Everybody's happy.
You just want to tell everybody, wake up.
Yeah.
Look around.
No. Eat your shitty food. Deal with your inflation. Like
plastic water bottles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's a weird time, but it's like I said, I'm a huge fan of what you guys do because it's just much needed, showing that side of the world. Like you guys are helping keep the world moving. Yeah. The railroads, they are keeping the world. Like they are. What's Union Pacific's on every locomotive they have? Building America.
Building America. Catchy.
So damn cool. And they have it trademarked. I'm like, why? I get it. I understand, but like, why'd you have to take that? Because that's cool. I want that on everything. Yeah. Like that should be on every railroad. Yeah. That should be on every port, steel mill, factory, company doing telecom, power lines,
building America,
water, power plants. Yeah, like you're building America. And to me, there's nothing cooler. Like that's in the railroad workforce thing. It's like, all right, this is I think something we can sort out. Because if you go poll 6-year-olds, and you're like, all right, what are you into, Jimmy? Yeah. What's number one? What's number one? They're either going to say machines, bulldozers,
no doubt,
trucks, cars, dinosaurs. That's the big one. Dinosaurs really have that part of that market cornered. But then trains,
they're right there in there,
right in the mix.
YouTube
planes,
channels with millions of followers for kids.
But trains are like very much in the mix. And then what happens? How do we lose that?
Get reprogrammed.
You get reprogrammed, but it's like I think we can work our way in there and for everybody's sake, like for their sake, because I think it's a great career. You make a ton of money. Mm. You get paid. When they told me how much they were making when I was out there, I was like,
that's
okay, all right, maybe, this is not so bad. And you build America.
Mm-hmm. Exciting times we live in right now.
Oh, right. It's so cool.
People can fuss. I don't talk politics, but it's exciting times. There's a lot of unknown. Yeah. But you feel the machine kind of cranking up.
Yeah.
We're fixing to go do some stuff.
Yeah. That's what's exciting. It's exciting. Like, especially, I don't know, regardless of where you are, but like even just post-COVID, like the whole world shutting down for a while.
Weird.
It was, but it just sucked. Yeah. It's like everything's coming back. Like, all right, we're going again. There's some momentum. Yeah. Like there's some energy. Like and right, wrong, or indifferent, there's energy. I like that. I like that companies are getting aggressive. I like that people are getting aggressive. I like
that competition.
I like that. Like, yes, it's that's what I get frustrated with some big companies. It's like, God, why is this so boring? Why do you make this so lame? Why is this?
Because it's the way we've done it for 100 years.
But
I hate that.
Can we just have a good time? Like, why is it? We don't have to be miserable. Like, nowhere Does this job require being miserable?
Yeah.
So why do we do that? Like, why don't we have a good time while we're doing this? I don't know.
I think some of the American spirit, let me get out of the way and let me show you mentality during COVID. I was afraid. Like, I was afraid it was gone.
Yeah.
People are just done. They're laying down. And you realize, like, Americans are resilient. Think about everything we've been through. We've been through wars and depressions, and just COVID was a huge thing. And, man, America bounces back.
Yeah, that's why I'm optimistic. So I love, like, traveling's been great. You get to see so much, and it's made me understand the world a lot better. Mm-hmm. And while there's a lot of other beautiful, extraordinary countries and cultures out there, what I really, and as frustrated as I am with a lot of America's current state, we have this fuck you mentality that you just don't see anywhere else. Right. And that's the best way I can explain it. Yeah. Like, we just have this fuck you mentality. Like, oh, tell me I'm not going to do it. Tell me I'm not going to do it.
Step back.
Yeah. Like, step back. I'm going to either do it or I'm going to die trying. Yeah. And like, this is the hill I'm dying on. And I love that. I think that's like the heart of business and the heart of this world and in this industry especially. It's built upon. Yeah. And that, like, the American dream, I'm a believer it's not a thing in most industries anymore. I'm not starting Aaron's phones. I'm not starting Aaron's bank. I'm not starting. Most everything's so consolidated now. Yeah. And yeah, you can come up and outmaneuver here or there, but not really. The whole system's been somewhat gamed against that now, with overregulation, but that's another can of worms. But some guy in Alabama who grew up in a less than savory world, can grab a lawnmower trailer and some tired tools and go to work and create something.
You got to have that want to.
And help build America. It's like.
That's been my favorite slogan. Tell me I can't.
Yeah.
Even from a kid. I've shared with you, like, growing up was tough. Like, we were poor. Like, real poor. I knew what we were eating every day. It was chicken, cheese, and rice.
Yeah.
And much less air conditioner. A lot of times there wasn't power.
Sure.
I remember my mother's car getting repossessed, right? But I think that you talk about the necessaries in life. Again, that was necessary. I had to live through that because I don't know what or how I would be today had I not walked through the fire and been forged. Mm-hmm. And today, like, don't tell me I can't. I'm hard-headed. Yeah. I'm quiet. I'm going to read the room for a long time, but there's a lot going on in my head thinking about it. You're not going to outthink me, right? And I don't want you to outwork me. Of course, I'm getting older, right? I'm not as fast,
sure,
right? But it's just a hard-headedness. Man, I'm surrounded with people like that.
Yeah, it's. I think it's more good than bad, but it's almost like I've had to catch myself. Someone will be telling me no on something, and I just get fixated on it. It pisses me
what do you mean
off. No? I'm like, I mean, it's almost like they called my mom ugly or something like that. Yeah. It's like, why am I so wound up? Yeah, I mean, like, this doesn't even matter. Yeah. And yet I have people in my head. I'm like, I am going to get you one day. I don't know how. I don't know when. But I'm gonna run you the fuck over. Like, this is not.
We've all got that list, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Or someone will be like, no, you can't do that, and it's like, oh, I can't, and it's something so stupid, so arbitrary. Yeah. But there's just something in my mind that's like, all right, let's go, let's fucking go. But that's it's so good, it's so potent, especially. I can only come at it from the young man perspective, but especially like in your teens and your 20s, everybody's talking about being calculated, this and that. I think it's all nonsense. Like, why'd you want to be a contractor? Because I wanted my name on an excavator.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the logic, and that logic, similarly applied elsewhere, has changed the world in all different ways. And so I guess, well, that's not rational. No, that's the point. You don't change the world by being rational. It doesn't happen that way. You don't create anything substantial by being rational. You do have to be nuts. You do have to be irrational. And especially when you're young, when you're naive, you can be really irrational.
Oh, man, yeah. Yeah, been there, done that. Looking back, there were probably a lot of times it should have been over with, right? That irrational side of things.
Yeah.
I'll gamble in a minute, as far as maybe less now, but as younger, like, hey, let's try it and see what happens. I think a lot of it was luck and being at the right place at the right time, mixed with that attitude of you can't tell me no.
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate because I'm surrounded by that same mentality of you're telling me I can't do this. Sit back and watch.
Yeah, let's go.
Every one of them around me, and it's stellar, conquering.
But that's I mean that you guys are in that business though of like this can't be done.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, and all railroads are the same. The Class 1 employees are the same way.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like John Wayne, cowboy. What do you mean? Watch. And there's some talent out there. There's some guys that are keeping these railroads held together, just a few of them that are extremely brilliant, that know how to railroad, that can do it in their sleep. And those guys are undervalued and unappreciated.
Sure.
But they're making it happen.
Yeah.
And railroads, they know it. They definitely know that, hey, this is the guy I can call on when the world's on fire, and he's going to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just, how many lives they impact on a daily basis.
Man. Yeah.
Is extraordinary.
Yeah.
Like if you're really holding one of the Class 1s together.
Sure.
I mean, you've got pretty good chunk of America.
No doubt.
On your back.
No doubt.
In a way. Which is, I didn't understand any of this until I went to work for the railroad and saw how many containers went by us on a daily basis. Yeah. And it's just like, this is crazy.
Commodities, chemicals, it's wild.
Yeah, lumber, oil, grain, like the glue of our entire society. Everything heavy. Yeah. And everything heavy is wildly valuable. Yeah. Whoa.
Getting it off the roads, off of trucks.
Cement, yeah. And there's a whole, I know trucking and rail, they're each other's bigger customers, but they also don't like each other.
That's weird.
Which is, it's a weird dynamic. But they're like, the railroad does have a good point saying, listen, you want more by rail, less by truck. Mm-hmm. If we're moving more, it's safer. Yeah. This is the safer way to do it. And mathematically, I mean, they have numbers and statistics on their side to prove it's like, it's way safer.
Well, some of the trucking companies have figured it out. We'll just put our trucks on trains and get them down the road. The Amazons and
UPS,
JB Hunt,
FedEx,
all of them. I mean, it's smart thinking, combine them together.
Yep.
And I think, too, I sit back and think in the contracting world, like there's always this strong competition, right? Railroad contractors. Like I can't even describe to you. It's just proprietary. Let me protect, and I can't believe y'all are doing that. You know what? If we'd all kind of just pull together, we'd get a lot more done. Everybody gets a little bit of pie. Because what you figure out is if you get all the pie, all of a sudden your pie goes bad.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, well, that's where they've been for a while. Yeah. And their pie's going to go bad. And this is not railroad. This is just contractors in the form of people. Cool. Yeah, you've been around for 78 years or whatever it is. Cool. Yeah, you've got this monster balance sheet. Cool. Yeah, you've got all these relationships, so on and so forth. But what you don't have is a culture and company with a vision that's worth working for. Yeah. And people like me just don't want that.
They forget the one common denominator that keeps America going. People. Mm-hmm. And I see what you do, Aaron. Like just the amount of time you take in, probably not directly, but influencing people. Like people are hungry to see what you do. Yeah. The people aspect. You're investing in people, whether by purpose and design or not. And America as a whole, and railroads as a whole, contractors as a whole, we're forgetting that common denominator is people.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's not their fault. It's nothing personal.
No, it's never.
Like, they just came up in a different era. Yeah. They came up in a different era where everything was a nail and all they had was a hammer. Yeah. And that's it. That was the game, but that's not the game anymore.
It's changing.
And I've seen old dogs learn new tricks. Those are the companies that are going to do the best, I think. The old dogs that are like, oh, there's a better way to do this, actually. And they are whooping some ass right now. I know some of them, they're having a grand old time because they're one of the only ones that's figured it out. So they're just Well, let's go. Let's run up the score.
I'm gifted to have those partners that see, technology's probably not a bad thing.
Uh-huh.
We're going to get a young guy to run it, right? But technology's good, and hey, this didn't work. Let's in the grassing business, let's redesign this seeder and make it do it faster and bigger and better, right? So there's change where a lot of people are stuck in their ways.
Yeah. It's interesting. But to go back to the people point, like, I think, and we think as a business, we can really change the world. Mm-hmm. I think we can be part of where America goes from here, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
But as tempting as it is to talk about numbers and software and social media, et cetera, it's one handshake at a time.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. There's no way to scale it. I mean, yeah, there is a way to scale it.
Yeah.
It's like using LinkedIn, for example. I meet people like you. It facilitates things a lot faster, but it's like, but I want to come out and see what you do. I want to shake your hand. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know what you're about, what your guys are about, what you actually do, what it takes. And then you do that enough time. Like, why people are always like, why do you travel so much? It's like, well, I can't do this from home.
It's contagious.
Yeah, and I have to shake hands. If I'm not shaking hands, I'm not making a difference.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's one conversation, one handshake at a time. And I haven't fully appreciated that. But I'm trying to do a better job at it.
Those attaboys, that's kind of stepping aside a little bit, but the people around us that work with us, sometimes people just need hey, you did a good job.
Yeah.
They don't need that bonus check. I mean, of course that's nice. But and maybe it's because nobody's taking the time to say, hey, Aaron, you've done a good job, man. You've really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And those deposits into that person's, their bank, right? Man, it carries water.
Well, even there's just a lot of people. I mean, I'm railroad. I know a lot of people. They're busting their asses, but they don't really know why, because they're not reminded of it. Like, listen, this is one of the most important roles in America.
Yeah.
And you need that reminder, and that's what I try to do with people, especially when they reach out. Hey, thanks for doing this podcast, videos, social, doing what you're doing, this and that. I'm like, no, thank you for doing what you do, because you actually do it. Yeah. I just talk about it. I just show it. I just fuck off. I'm playing a part, and I'm playing my part that I've been given. Yeah. I didn't choose it. I'm just running the play.
Yeah.
But you're whoever you are. If you're out in the field, you're making it happen. Or if you're in an office supporting those in the field, you're making it happen. Like, and it's interesting even to like remind people of that. Like, what you do is really important. I know day to day, it's a slog. It's cold. It's hot. It's wet. Miserable night. Whatever it is. But that, like, you're the glue that keeps this whole thing going. And you might not get a thank you for it. However, it doesn't change the fact that you're the glue making this whole thing go round.
Yeah. And there's lots of pieces in that too.
Yeah.
Holding it together.
Uh-huh.